All right, thank you. So I learned that if you Google image of lots of white people, you get the Romneys #1 on the list. I hope there are no Romneys here. A lot of people say that Boulder isn't diverse, and when I moved here in 1999, I would have agreed. I was used to mostly hanging out with people who were like me, and I had a pretty basic epiphany that as humans, we're most attracted to people who are most like us. Speak the same language, socioeconomic status, physical ability, career, and it makes sense. But since 2000, I've been lucky to have a job that's allowed me to interact with thousands of people from all over the world. And I really love the challenge of communicating across barriers. And I found some really cool people on the other side and great friends like my buddy Bernardo here with his great mullet headband. At the same time, I encountered a lot of really puzzling and challenging communication differences around how people waste time and communicate indirectly. I was like, why can't people show up to stuff on time? Why does it take 10 minutes to ask me a 10-second question? Why do you say yes if you mean no? I really wanted some answers. And sure, we're all unique, but I began learning how certain cultural groups really have the same way of seeing the world in some cases. So I was working with Latinos, Asians, high income, low income, young, old, and I am gonna generalize a little bit here. If you're like, ooh, you shouldn't generalize, you're probably a US American because US Americans hate generalizations. So if you're a US American who hates generalizations, you're reinforcing a generalization. Our severe political correctness and fear of offending people is really stifling our ability to spark important conversations. So, yeah, I'm gonna say, obviously not all Mexicans are late to stuff and not all Germans are punctual for everything, but generally speaking, so I learned the value of time at a young age. In 5th grade, my mom came to pick me up at my friend's house and I was 10 minutes late and snap, you selfish, disrespectful little, you think your time's more important than mine, and my mom is totally cool, by the way. But that's how I grew up thinking about time. It's important to be on time, and if you're not on time, you suck. At the same time, my Latino and African friends, for instance, they see time differently sometimes. There's always more time. Don't live your life by the clock. Chill out a little bit. So I was like, that works. And, when people take 10 minutes to ask me a 10-second question, give me unnecessary background details, I'm like, let me cut you off after 10 seconds and give you that phone number that you're very politely but indirectly asking me for. And then there's the yes and no thing. If I want some water and someone asks me, Lee, do you want water? I say yes. Indirect communicators might say no. Well, you sure you don't want some water? No, I'm good. You sure? Okay, I'll have some water. Well, why didn't you just say yes the first time? Why waste time? Why play games? And then there's invitations. I invite my friends to a party this Friday, and they say, sí, I'll be there, my Latino friends. Do they come? Maybe, maybe not. So it's like, well, why did you say yes if you're not going to go? I could have invited someone else to take your spot, but now you just totally inconvenienced me. So I learned that in some cultures, it's more expected to say what the other person wants to hear, not the truth. And my buddy Omar told me, hey, if I get invited to a party and I just straight up say no, I'll never get invited by that person again. So it's better to communicate directly, quickly, and say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no, right? Well, for me it is, but I realize that my indirect communicator friends see people like me as unfriendly and just rushing through life. So there are thousands of cultural differences like this, and you can make me feel like I'm walking on eggshells, or it can be fun to discuss these things openly and honestly with people that I trust. I have a baby who's 11 months. Valentino is his name. And I was a little bit nervous the first time that my dark-skinned friends came over to my house. I was like, uh-oh, is Valentino going to be racist? But no, he was totally cool with them. They smiled at him, he smiled back at them. We aren't born with a tendency to be most comfortable with people who are like us. We learn that over time. And Valentino's mom is from Colombia, so is he white or Latino? Well, he's a blend, and eventually he'll marry a Chinese Ethiopian, and they'll have babies. And I love that our society is blending more, and race and ethnicity are important, but they're just becoming one of many cultural factors. And I'm psyched to bring them up in Boulder, because Boulder has diversity beyond runners, bikers, drunk college kids, and hippies and yuppies. We do like to lump people and places into one box, because that's easy for us. But in Boulder, we've got all kinds of exciting innovation happening around education, technology, science, health, sustainability, and all these groups also have different ways of seeing life and communicating. And my hope is that Valentino has the opportunity to, I hope he's curious, I hope he's genuine, I hope he's friendly, and he's able to communicate across all kinds of barriers, because for me, that's been a recipe for a really, really cool, rewarding life. Thank you.